Henri Matisse. Henri Matisse was a French artist, known for his use of color and his fluid and original draftsmanship. Matisse is commonly regarded, along with Picasso and Marcel Duchamp, as one of three artists who helped to define the revolutionary development in the plastic arts in the opening decades of the 20th century, responsible for significant developments in painting and sculpture. Although he was initially labeled a Fauve, which was a movement in the 1900s, by the 1920s he was increasingly hailed as an upholder of the classical tradition in French painting. His mastery of the expressive language of color and drawing, displayed in a body of work spanning over half a century, won him recognition as a leading figure in modern art. And as you guys know, I am not French, so I'm going to butcher all these French names and capitals and things like that. Matisse was born in Le Château-Cambrésis, Nord, France, the eldest son of a prosperous grain merchant. He grew up in Bohême and Vermandois, Picardy, France. In 1887, he went to Paris to study law, working as a court administrator in Le Château-Cambrésis after gaining his qualification. He first started to paint in 1889 after his mother brought him art supplies during a period of convalescence following an attack of appendicitis. He discovered a kind of paradise, as he later described it, and decided to become an artist, deeply disappointing his father. In 1891, he returned to Paris to study art at the Académie Julian and became a student of William Adolphe Bouguereau and Gustave Moreau. Initially, he painted still lifes and landscapes in a traditional style, at which he achieved reasonable proficiency. Matisse was influenced by the works of earlier masters such as Jean-Baptiste Simeon Chardin, Nicolas Poussin, Antoine Watteau, and as well as modern artists such as Edouard Manet, and by Japanese art. Chardin was one of Matisse's most admired painters, and as an art student, he made copies of 4 Chardin paintings, and they're in the Louvre. Fauvism as a style began around the 1900s and continued beyond 1910. The movement as such lasted only a few years, from 1904 to 1908, and had 3 exhibitions. The leaders of the movement were Matisse and André Derain. Matisse's first solo exhibition was at Ambroise Vollard Gallery in 1904. Without much success, his fondness for bright and expressive color became more pronounced after he spent the summer of 1904 painting in Saint-Tropez with the Neo-Impressionists Signac and Henri-Émile-Benoît Matisse. In that year, he painted the most important of his works in the Neo-Impressionist style, luxe, calme, et volupté. In 1905, he traveled southward again to work with André Derain at Collioure. His paintings of this period are characterized by flat shapes and controlled lines, and use pointillism in a less rigorous way than before. In 1905, Matisse and a group of artists known as Fauves exhibited together in a room at the Salon de l'Autonomie. I don't know how to say that. The paintings express emotion with wild, often dissonant colors, without regard for the subject's natural colors. Matisse showed open window and women with the hat at the Salon. Critics Louis Vauchelet described the work with the phrase Donatello parmi les fauves, Donatello among the wild beasts, referring to a Renaissance-type sculpture that shared the room with them. His comments was printed on the 17th of October in 1905 in Gil Blas, a daily newspaper, and passed into popular usage. The exhibition garnered harsh criticism. "A pot of paint has been flung in the face of the public," said the critic Camille Mauclair, but also some favorable attention. When the painting that was singled out for special commendation, Matisse's Woman with a Hat, was bought by Gertrude and Leo Stein, the embattled artist's morale improved considerably. Matisse was recognized as a leader of the Fauves, along with André Derain. The two were friendly rivals, each with his own followers. In 1951, Matisse finished a 4-year project of designing the interior, the glass windows of the decoration of the Chapelle du Rosaire de Vence, often referred to as the Matisse Chapel. This project was the result of the close friendship between Matisse and sister Jacques Marie. He had hired her as a nurse and model in 1941 before she became a Dominican nun, and they met again in Vence and started the collaboration. A story related in her 1992 book Henri Matisse, La Chapelle de Vence, and in the 2003 documentary A Model for Matisse. He established a museum dedicated to his work in 1952 in his birthplace city, and this museum is now the third largest collection of Matisse's work in France. According to David Rockefeller, Matisse's final work was the design for a stained glass window installed at the Union Church of Pocantico Hills near the Rockefeller Estate north of New York City. It was his final artistic creation. The maquette was on the wall of his bedroom when he died in November of 1954, Rockefeller writes. Installation was completed in 1956. Matisse died of a heart attack at the age of 84 in 1954. He was interred in the cemetery of Monastère Notre-Dame de Cimier near Nice.